Anderson is a model Jehovah's Witness, pure of heart with unshakable faith.
Kim believed only Jehovah's Witnesses really know the truth. The rest of the world is living in a lie.
She obeys powerful church elders who have absolute authority over their congregation.
The elders are to be feared.
It's like playing God with people's lives, and it's very dangerous.
If Kim isn't careful, her faithful obedience will trap her in a hell of her own making.
This should not have happened.
I just couldn't fathom that. It's like the worst possible ending.
Troops are in position.
The hostage taker has a sawed-off shotgun.
Where are they? Bedroom?
Police surrounded the apartment, cordoned it off.
It's very, very difficult for police in that situation. We tried to put a negotiator on the phone to talk to the person with the weapon.
Stay back, you hear me?
But this is a man who won't be talked down.
The woman said, "Oh my God, he's going into the bedroom with the children." And she dropped the phone.
I screamed and screamed and screamed. And I still have nightmares about it.
How could this happen? There has to be a reason. I reached for my religious upbringing. It became Jehovah must know why.
Kim was really very attractive. She was very intelligent, always quite under control. She grew up as a witness, and she was convinced that anything else would lead to death for her and her children.
Burnaby, Canada, is a small enclave in the heart of the Pacific Northwest. For generations, it's been home to a tight-knit community of Jehovah's Witness families, including the family Kim Anderson grows up in.
They call themselves the happiest people on earth. They would share stories about how people were often drawn to them because of how happy they were.
Witnesses originated in 19th century America. They are a Christian denomination, distinguished by belief in a God they call Jehovah and an exceptionally strict moral code.
They believe that they are a unique people called to be specially set aside.
They aspire to live on a paradise earth in peace and harmony and perfection. The rest of the world is ruled by the devil.
In the 1960s, Kim is the only child in a devout Jehovah's Witness household, studiously following the path laid down for her by the church.
She was very idealistic. She wanted to serve Jehovah.
We are in the truth.
And serving Jehovah is an all-consuming way of life. Like all witnesses, Kim and her family are expected to attend church meetings 3 times a week. They spend their remaining time walking their neighborhood streets, offering Bible study and pamphlets to non-believers.
Their door-to-door ministry is very important, converting people to come into the fold. There are millions of books and magazines every day, distributed all over the world.
Witnesses are told it's their obligation to save the souls of as many people as possible. It's an urgent mission, driven by the fundamental belief that an apocalyptic end of times is imminent.
The witnesses believe that we're living in the last days of this world. When that Armageddon comes, it's gonna kill everyone.
Everyone, that is, except for Jehovah's Witnesses, who will be chosen to live in a post-apocalyptic paradise, cleansed of all evil and sin.
It'll be almost like heaven on earth, kind of like the Garden of Eden, but bigger.
Kim believed thoroughly that all these things would come to pass. Witnesses look forward to the end of the world because they find this world so wanting and so corrupt.
Despite the looming apocalypse, 8-year-old Kim enjoys her childhood in the church. Until the day she learns that her parents are splitting up.
Please don't!
For her mother, the divorce is especially traumatizing.
Women in the Jehovah's Witness community who are not married, and especially if they're divorced, are made to feel that they're on the fringes of that society. They're not really part of the power structure of the congregation anymore. Your only avenue of being accepted in the community is to be married.
Kim's mother loses the respect of her church. She finds herself on the outside looking in.
There was a kind of scandal in the local congregation.
Her mom had quite a difficult time. Kim had lots of insecurities, but she didn't vocalize them very much. She was very guarded.
Kim's faith remains strong, but watching her mother endure the stigma of divorce is something she will never forget. By April 1972, Kim has grown into a devout high school student.
Have you heard the good news?
She spends up to 100 hours a week working as a full-time missionary.
Kim felt that it was important to try to save people. That meant going door to door and converting them.
Like her fellow witnesses, Kim sees herself as separate from the secular world.
The witnesses are admonished to keep their association with outsiders, non-witnesses, to a minimum. And so Kim did not have a lot of friends. She wasn't popular.
Kim will never have experiences that her classmates take for granted. Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed to vote, celebrate Christmas or Valentine's Day. Birthday parties are out of the question.
They believe that those holidays are based on paganism.
Secular society has corrupted true Christianity.
They have an elder system that has tight controls on their members.
The Jehovah's Witness sect bristles with rules and regulations.
But Kim is happy to follow these rules. And there's one she's focused on in particular: marrying a Jehovah's Witness just as devout as she is.
There was the desire on her part to find a strong male witness leader. She thought Jim would fit that bill.
Jim is Jim Kostelnik, a third-generation Jehovah's Witness. Kim meets him at a party on a spring evening in 1972. She's 18. Jim is 25.
Young witnesses danced in those days, and she was kind of a wallflower, you know, sitting against the wall.
The two strike up a conversation.
She was kind of folksy, with long brown hair, and just some of the things she said were sweet. There was a gentleness, a kind of grace about her that I liked.
My name's Jim.
Jim. And Kim.
After a year of dating, their plan to marry is approved by the local church elders. The wedding day at Kingdom Hall is magical.
The witnesses really lavish and enjoy those weddings because the other celebrations that outsiders enjoy, like Christmas, we don't have that. So weddings are very important.
The young married couple's life revolves around their work for the church and their plans to start a family. Within 3 years, Kim gives birth to a boy named Yuri and a girl, Lindsay.
Kim was an excellent mother, very devoted to the children. You either have parental ability or you don't, and she did.
Lindsay was so blonde, and her laugh was so infectious, and she just delighted in life. Yuri was a real thinker. The intelligence that he had seemed farther beyond his years.
Money is tight for the young family. Jim works as a janitor, while Kim stays at home with the kids. Their universe begins and ends with the church.
We were going to 3 meetings a week. I was putting in 100 hours a month in the door-to-door ministry.
By 1974, the couple's evangelism is growing more fervent.
The end of days is upon us.
Church leaders claim Jehovah has told them the exact year the world will finally end: 1975.
Armageddon is coming soon.
There would be no more grief, no more illness, no more death. Everything would be wonderful and sunny.
Jim and Kim wait eagerly for the new year to arrive. But 1975 passes without an apocalypse.
The world was to end, and it didn't happen.
It's a public relations nightmare for the church.
He has denied us the rapture for now.
And for some witnesses, it causes a crisis of faith. One of them is Jim Kostelnik.
There were all these different predictions that they made when the end was coming. It was coming soon in the 1800s. It came soon in 1914. It came soon in 1975. This is what the witnesses are selling, a promise they cannot keep.
If you have questions, just ask them.
If they were wrong about when the world will end, what makes you think they're right about anything else?
Profoundly shaken, Jim openly expresses some of the doubts he has about the church.
I started asking questions. I talked to Kim about it. She said, go to the elders, talk to them. And the elders had no answer, really, other than keep going to the meetings, keep going door to door in the ministry. It made me quite angry.
Kim is devastated by Jim's loss of faith. Hers is as strong as ever. She knows Jim's seemingly subversive behavior could have dangerous consequences for her marriage and her own standing in the church.
People who question the validity of the Jehovah's Witness beliefs, they can be sanctioned and even disfellowshipped or excommunicated from the organization. If your family members are all Jehovah's Witnesses, you'll lose your family.
Kim was very afraid of displeasing the elders. She truly believed she had to remain a witness to maintain the life of herself and her children.
Kim is still haunted by what happened to her mother, a divorcee condemned by the church. But the time has come for Kim to make a painful decision. And what she must do will have unimaginably grim consequences for everything and everyone she holds dear.
It is dangerous to give your power to people that claim to speak for God.
She had these fears working on her all the time.
They had no place to run and hide.
It's 1976. Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide, including Jim and Kim Kostelnik, are surprised to still be alive. Church leadership prophesied this year would never come, that the world would end first.
Everyone else in the world besides Jehovah's Witnesses will be destroyed at Armageddon. So that's what we expected would happen in 1975. It didn't happen.
But church leaders claim the apocalypse is still coming, and the congregants themselves are somehow to blame for the delay.
The Lord has found us wanting.
At the assemblies, the witness speakers were saying, it's your fault. It's like they were blaming the rank and file. And that really turned me off.
Now, Jim openly threatens to leave the church, a radical step that could destroy his family's good standing in the community. For Kim, her husband's open doubts create a different kind of apocalypse.
They view it as total traitorship. You're trained that that's scary and that's like being part of the devil.
Not only was Kim upset because she obviously wasn't a true believer, but because she was looking for a strong male witness leader in her husband and beginning to realize that that wasn't working.
Kim asks her church elders to hold a meeting, known as a judicial committee, so they can lead her in the right path. They instruct her that it's better to be a single mother than to raise children with a non-believer.
Kim never questioned the authority of the witnesses.
The elders are to be feared because of the harsh judgmental responses to wrongdoing.
After 6 years of marriage to Jim Kostelnik, Kim files for divorce. Jim is disfellowshipped from the Jehovah's Witnesses.
If you're disfellowshipped, there can be a range of consequences, the most severe of which can be this shunning.
The church rules Jim should be shunned. So Kim and the children are expected to cut off all contact with him.
Hey, we'll see each other again real soon, huh?
Jim leaves his family.
I felt I was a traitor. I felt I'm not doing the right thing here. But in a way, I had no choice because she just wanted to move on to the next phase of her life.
When the divorce is finalized in April of 1980, Kim becomes a single woman in a congregation that looks down on her. What happened to her mother is now happening to her. It's her worst nightmare come true.
Kim and I, and a number of others of us, were rather on the outside. I felt as if we were being treated as second-class citizens.
Kim's friends avoid her. At meetings, people turn the other way.
In the hierarchy of the witnesses, even a 10-year-old boy, if he's baptized, he's considered higher than the woman.
Women are supposed to be subservient. She really was just a woman.
Kim knows there's only one way to make things right with the community.
She was looking for a good witness husband.
I think that was her objective, to find a better spiritual manager than I was for her and the children.
Just 1 month after she is officially divorced, Kim arranges to attend a church-sponsored retreat in Maui. She is determined to find a husband.
There was a place there that catered to Jehovah's Witnesses, I think run by a Jehovah's Witness couple.
The morning after she arrives, Kim is introduced to a man from Texas. His name is Jeff Anderson.
He was polite, respectful, always kind of clean-cut looking, around 6 feet tall.
Jeff tells her he's living in Hawaii and works locally as a disc jockey. And like most people at this resort, the two share one important thing in common.
He claimed that he was a faithful witness.
They are both smitten. Since they're unmarried, the church frowns on them being alone together.
The elder system controls the activities and involvement of their congregations.
So for the next week, Kim and Jeff enjoy a supervised courtship.
They were chaperoned by a couple of Kim's friends. They traveled the island, and he kind of romanced her.
On Kim's last day of vacation, Jeff confesses he's fallen in love with her. Kim is thrilled.
I had such a good time today.
When she came back from Hawaii, she told me about Jeff. He was a witness. He was going to work at a radio station, and life was going to be good.
He kept flattering her and sending her flowers and sending her letters and making phone calls.
I just wanted to ask you a question.
Then, in January 1981, Jeff proposes during a nightly phone call, and Kim accepts.
Yes.
It's a whirlwind romance, but they are ecstatic to start their new life and raise a devout family together in the church.
She really wanted to be loved, to be married to a good witness elder, and have that perfect life she was supposed to have.
A wedding date is set for August 1981 in Houston, Texas, where Jeff's mother lives. It seems like a dream come true as Kim packs up her children and flies south for the big day.
I recall my mom being in the wedding party. They have a best man and they have a maid of honor and fancy dresses.
But once the wedding day arrives, everything begins to go wrong.
He's just running late. I'm sure he has a good reason.
Jeff arrives late to his own wedding. He doesn't even have the wedding rings.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. Why would you ask that?
Because you're an hour late.
I'm here, aren't I?
When Kim questions him, he surprises everyone by yelling at her viciously.
Don't make a scene.
Oh, okay.
People could see that he was less than ideal witness material.
My mom always had a radar for abusive men. She believed that that guy was very, very abusive.
Other people were very critical of Jeff. She was feeling insecure, but I suggested that she was an adult and wise enough to decide what was best for her.
Without the rings, Kim and Jeff say their vows. Their marriage is off to a rocky start. But Kim is dead set on being a faithful wife and regaining good standing in the church she loves.
You need to show me some respect.
She has no idea that she's just walked into a lion's den, and it will take every ounce of strength for her to survive it.
Kim was looking for someone to love her, and so it had a big influence on what she did.
A lot of people are capable of violence. Given the right circumstances, they will kill.
Kim Anderson thought she found the perfect husband in her fiancé, Jeff. Then came his strange, callous behavior on their wedding day.
Don't make a scene.
Oh, okay.
What she saw in him was this strong spiritual leader and great Jehovah's Witness guy. But what she got when she actually married him was something completely different.
Within a week, Jeff reveals the truth. He's been feeding her a steady stream of lies. He's been arrested for petty theft. He's never held a steady job. He isn't a disc jockey living in Hawaii. He's out of work and living in Houston with his mother.
Jeff was putting a persona forward that was not at all true, wanting himself to find a wife.
I think this guy was a loser from day one.
Kim is shocked, and she's even more upset to learn that while Jeff is a baptized Jehovah's Witness, he's not at all the devout follower he said he was during their courtship.
I want to go door to door again. Get back outside.
Jeff Anderson could pretend to be a faithful witness
No.
because he knew the buzzwords that Jehovah's Witnesses use.
But I don't think he was particularly enamored of the religion. I think it was a relationship of convenience, his association with Jehovah's Witnesses.
I'm working on that, baby. I want y'all to be happy with me.
Jeff had promised to move his new family back to Canada after the wedding, but he doesn't have enough money.
I'm not a liar.
Instead, Jeff, Kim, and her 2 children, Yuri and Lindsay, move into a small apartment outside Houston.
This is my house.
She was quite frustrated. Jeff was not contributing financially.
This is not the life Kim was promised. But as a dutiful witness, she must respect her family's new patriarch.
You're right. You're right.
Then, things go from bad to worse. Jeff rules with an iron fist, criticizing Kim's shopping and housekeeping, demanding to know where she is at all times. And his cold domination of her turns physical.
No, please.
When Kim declines Jeff's sexual advances, he forces himself on her.
Jeff's being very violent in his sex with her, wanting to rape her.
She feared him. I think she was terrified.
To keep Kim in line, Jeff threatens to go to church elders if she resists. Kim knows that in their eyes, and the eyes of Jehovah, she would be seen as in the wrong.
There's sort of the unwritten rule that Jehovah's Witness women are to give their due, meaning the sexual due, to their husbands.
Women are supposed to be subservient sexually to their husbands.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Kim keeps her rising fear and anxiety to herself. But only 3 weeks into the marriage, her daughter Lindsay is on the phone with her father and says something that stops him in his tracks.
Mommy and Jeff were fighting and they got hurt.
She lets slip that she saw Kim and Jeff have a physical fight that left both of them with blood on their faces.
When we talked to Kim about that, she just said, "Oh no, that was an accident. We were unpacking some boxes and our heads bumped accidentally." And I believed it.
For Kim, going to the police is not an option, and neither is reporting the incident to the church.
If you talk to the elders, the man is the head. If the man tells you how to dress, you dress that way. If the man tells you how to sit, you sit that way. If the man tells you when to have dinner on the table, that's when you have it. If you don't, you're being insubordinate.
From my experience, women in abusive relationships tended to not complain.
Besides, the church wouldn't look kindly on a request for a second divorce.
If the elders don't believe that you have grounds for divorce, then the woman is stuck.
With her back against the wall, Kim tries to be the best wife she can be. For another month, the family struggles to get by, until Kim starts to suspect something that no mother could ignore.
Kim was suspicious that Jeff Anderson was molesting at least one of the children.
Kim isn't sure of the extent of the abuse, but she has a terrible feeling.
There clearly was something very seriously going wrong.
I think she knew about it, but just couldn't bring herself to talk about it.
Kim doesn't know where to turn. All she knows is that she can't stand idly by and allow harm to come to her innocent children. So just 6 weeks after her wedding, Kim manages to borrow enough money to fly with her children back to Canada.
I remember Kim and the kids coming and staying with us. All I remember was really loving having Yuri and Lindsay around, and just the sheer joy and beauty of those kids.
Hoping desperately for understanding, Kim goes straight to her congregation's church elders.
He lied. He told me he was a devout witness.
She tells them that she was duped by Jeff.
Go on.
She describes the fights, the violent sex,
He forced himself on me, and
the suspicions of child abuse.
made
She
me...
asks the elders to support her decision to leave the marriage.
This guy was not good for her. She tried to reason with them, engage them, get them to pay more attention to her problems with him.
But church elders are not convinced. They say Kim has no solid proof Jeff is doing anything harmful to her children. And perhaps the problem is with her, not Jeff.
You have been divorced before. We discussed it.
They thought of her as being disloyal or headstrong.
Strive to make this marriage work and be a dutiful, faithful wife.
Church elders tell Kim she is scripturally obligated to make the marriage work.
Kim was beaten down. She was hanging on for dear life to what she wanted her life to be.
If Kim defies the elders, she faces disfellowship, being shunned by the church and her family. It's terrifying.
Kim grew up as a witness. That's the only thing she knew, and she was convinced that anything else would lead to death for her and her children.
Despite her instinct to protect her family from her husband,
Of course.
Kim bows to the elders' authority.
You know what's best.
She invites Jeff to come join her in Canada.
Inwardly, she was wishing that he would go away and leave her alone, but outwardly, she had to show to the elders that she was compliant with the marriage.
Kim was caught in a web of wanting to belong, wanting to fit.
Kim hopes the elders will protect her if push comes to shove in her marriage. What she doesn't know is that nobody can save her from the evil still to come.
I can't begin to understand what was wrong with Jeff. I just don't get it.
In September 1982, elders in Kim Anderson's church tell her to reunite with her abusive husband, Jeff, and make the marriage work. She believes she has no choice but to follow orders.
She had to conform to what the Jehovah's Witness elders expected of her as a married woman.
But when Jeff moves to Canada to live with Kim and the kids, it doesn't take long for him to pick up where he left off.
Where are my cigarettes? I asked you to get one simple thing for me. One thing for me from the store. Cigarettes, that's it. And you can't do that. How inconsiderate.
You're right. You're right.
He can't hold down a job. He is violent and unpredictable. And to her horror, Kim is convinced he has started molesting her daughter Lindsay again.
He was just twisted, mean, nasty. Most of us cannot imagine such cruelty.
She had to somehow go along and make it look like she was going along, but at the same time she knew she wanted nothing to do now with her second husband.
By July of 1984, Kim is living in terror.
There's all this fear going on. Fear of Jeff Anderson, fear of the elders, fear of her future.
This time, Kim's fear triggers desperate action. She decides to approach the elders once more, with a final plea to allow her a divorce. The elders interview Jeff and Kim separately. Kim gives new evidence of Jeff's abuse,
Jeff, am I ready for you?
praying that this time her claims won't fall on deaf ears.
She's always been so willful and disobedient. She will make up stories.
But when the interviews are over, Kim gets devastating news.
Bearing false witness against a member of the fellowship is serious.
He had defeated her in the meeting with the witness elders.
Not only do the elders reject Kim's request for a divorce, they chastise her for bringing more false charges against Jeff and for not being a dutiful witness wife.
She was very upset because the elders were not believing her. They only believed Jeff.
The elders punish Kim for insubordination. She is denied the right to evangelize door to door, a devastating penalty for any witness.
The witnesses really kept supporting Jeff. The religion helped him out and assisted him in keeping her in line.
On the way home, Kim faces the truth. She is completely powerless within the strict confines of her beloved religion.
She was caught between a rock and a hard place, between the Jehovah's Witnesses authorities and what was good for her and the children.
For the first time ever, Kim questions those who claim to speak for Jehovah.
The elders are just people and they make mistakes, and she could easily see through those faults.
For the sake of her children, Kim feels she has no choice but to risk everything she knows and leave her husband as quickly as possible. So on July 21st, 1984, Kim plans an escape.
She waited till he came home from work. She waited till he was in the shower.
While Jeff is in the bathroom, Kim gathers the children and makes her move.
Kim? Kim?
She took the car and came to my house.
Kim?
Jeff didn't know where she was.
You planned this from the start, didn't you?
Jeff will not tolerate the abandonment. Fuming and seeking vengeance, he reports her as a runaway wife to the elders.
She ran away.
Some people can't handle rejection, and their response is, well, I'll get even.
The church demands Kim return to her husband, but she resists. Jeff is shocked by her rebellion. He's relied on Kim's devotion to the church to control her, but that's not working anymore.
His control, which was essential to him to have this control, was slipping away.
In the fall of 1984, Kim returns to the apartment and Jeff moves out. But he is not about to let go of her. He takes a basement apartment directly across the street, and he makes his presence known.
He was stalking her, he was watching her, he was sending her notes, probably love notes, made her skin crawl.
Basically, if I can't have you, nobody can have you.
Jeff calls day and night, demanding reconciliation. With the church supporting his mission to get his wife back, Jeff believes Jehovah is on his side.
He was rejected by her, and he couldn't accept that. He was feeling anger, fear, jealousy, revenge, not being able to cope.
Things escalate. Jeff begins breaking into her house.
He was sabotaging her appliances by disconnecting wires, just dirty tricks to let her know that he was still around and still cause her misery.
Jeff seems unstoppable. Kim lives every day with the fear that her family is in danger in their own home.
Yuri and Lindsay got caught in that crossfire, and it was very, very difficult for them to endure that and that sense of doom that they must have felt.
Kim has her locks changed and prays. The next time Jeff shows up, there's no telling what he'll do.
Some people can't handle rejection, but not all people resort to that level of violence. It takes a weird or very sick person, I believe, to do that.
In the summer of 1985, devout Jehovah's Witness Kim Anderson is terrified of her abusive, estranged husband, Jeff.
He had to have power and control. He couldn't take rejection. He kept pursuing her and pursuing her.
Since her church doesn't recognize the gravity of her situation, Kim has taken matters into her own hands. She's convinced Jeff to move out and changed her locks, but she's hesitant to ask for help.
Kim was very careful with what she said, as if she was afraid of something. And I felt that fear.
August 29th is a hot summer day. Kim is home on the phone with her mother. It's been a good morning so far, and Kim is feeling at ease for the first time in too long. So at ease that she forgot to lock the front door. Jeff walks into Kim's kitchen.
He just walked in. Kim was there. The children were in the bedroom.
Before Kim can react,
We need to talk.
she finds herself staring down the barrel of a sawed-off shotgun.
Mom, I have to go. There's a gun in my face.
Kim saying something about, there's a gun pointed at me, I can't talk anymore.
Where are they? The bedroom?
Kim's mother is still on the other end of the line. Confused and frantic, she calls 911.
She said he had a gun.
The call immediately sets a police response team in motion. Within minutes, a hostage negotiator from the local police calls Kim's apartment.
Hello?
It's very, very difficult for police to defuse the situation so it doesn't escalate. Troops are in position. We're setting up outside to contain the location.
As Kim desperately tries to explain what's going on, she sees Jeff walking towards Yuri and Lindsay.
Please hurry. He's in the bedroom.
She said, oh my God, he's going into the bedroom with the children.
Do what I say!
You try to reason with him. If his beef was with his wife, the negotiator would try to at least get the children released. then work on getting the individual to surrender himself.
Please come.
Kim manages to lure Jeff away from the kids
It's the police.
and onto the phone.
They want to talk to you.
Hello? You tell him to stay back.
Jeff threatens to kill everyone if the police try to intervene.
I mean it. You tell them to stay back. You hear me?
And then, at 11:16 a.m., the line goes dead. Police have now surrounded the apartment building.
You can't just rush in. You have to weigh the dangers in trying to protect the people that are in the house.
You never loved me. You said you loved me, but you never loved me.
According to later police records of this event,
Don't you look at me.
the entire family is in a back bedroom, and Jeff is screaming at Kim, complaining about all the pain he says she's caused him.
For an hour, he berated her and tortured her verbally.
I can't believe you would do this to me.
Why had you rejected me, and why can't we get back together?
Kim tries to take the blame for their failed marriage.
As your wife, I should have listened to the elders. I should have listened to you.
Ugly.
But when Jeff asks her to hug him, she cannot bring herself to do it. Suddenly, something changes in Jeff. He aims the gun at her, and to the horror of her children, he fires, killing her instantly. 10-year-old Lindsay is clutching a teddy bear. Jeff points the gun at her.
She held her hands up in a defensive motion to the shotgun, and he shot Lindsay. Yuri put his arms around his sister, and he shot him too.
In an instant, 3 lives are brutally and senselessly cut short.
I can't imagine the horror those 2 children had for their last seconds of their life. Yuri and Lindsay were such good friends, such good buddies, just really did love each other, and Lindsay died with her brother's arms around her. It's just more than I can quite think about still, and I still have nightmares about it.
Jeff leaves the gun in the apartment and calmly walks out the front door. He is immediately arrested. When police enter the apartment, they find a scene of indescribable horror.
There's no words to explain how police feel when children are involved. I said to my investigators, I wished he had just turned the gun on himself.
One officer is charged with a heartbreaking task, telling Jim his children have been gunned down.
Mr. Kostelnik?
An officer in plainclothes came to call. He took a printout from his vest pocket and he read it, but he was shaking so much that the letter was almost falling out of his hands. I thought, I didn't want to hear it, but I had to hear it. An announcement that your children have been murdered. The parents' worst fear has got to be that. And I thought that wasn't true, that there must be some mistake. The police must have made a mistake.
The entire community is devastated by news of these tragic murders.
I kept wishing I could have been there to stop the gun. That's all I kept replaying. Just seeing Jeff there with the gun and wanting to just throw myself at it and move it away. And thinking, I know he's bigger than me and I wouldn't be able to really stop it.
How could it be? Those wonderful little children who played with mine, and the giggles and the laughs, and I just didn't get it.
For Jim Kostelnik, a man who had long ago questioned the Jehovah's Witness doctrine, the church's response to the murder of his ex-wife and children is chilling.
All that was discussed was that Kim, Yuri, and Lindsay were going to get the reward after Armageddon. They would be resurrected on that day and would live happily ever after in Christ's kingdom.
Jim attends his children's funeral at Kingdom Hall, hoping to mourn with old friends and family in the witness community. But even on this saddest of days, Jim is shunned, ignored by everyone in the room.
It's almost as if we were invisible because I was disfellowshipped, you see. And so they did that in the house of God. They shunned the father of the victims.
On December 4th, 1986, a jury finds Jeff Anderson guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder. He gets a life sentence for each count. But Jeff Anderson is not finished with Kim and her family. Less than a year into his sentence, he mails a letter from prison to Jim Kostelnik. Desperate for answers, Jim begins a written correspondence with Jeff.
Jim was still looking to find some good in the killer.
In April of 1989, Jim Kostelnik agrees to meet Anderson in prison.
He put on a good face, polite Texas manners, not the monster that you would expect to find. He tried to explain why he had done this. He said, I was enraged, I was rejected, and I took it out on Kim and the children.
Jeff even consents to TV interviews and remains focused on the twisted idea that he was wronged.
She very much seemed apathetic and indifferent. She didn't take me serious even then, a man with a gun. And that was the ultimate rejection. That was the final rejection. I couldn't take any more. I started pulling the trigger, and I couldn't stop. I had to get things out, and this seemed to be the only way.
He didn't really seem to be aware of very much beyond himself and his own feelings.
This is selfishness, cruelty, self-centeredness. That's what he was about. He was a sociopath.
Kim, Yuri, and Lindsay's surviving friends and family have attempted to move on. But while decades have passed, the wounds are still raw.
It's how many years later, and who has really paid any real price for it, you know? What's changed?
I wanted to forgive. I thought that the forgiveness would make things right. But of course, it didn't. You never get over it.
I could still be very angry at the elders for trying to manipulate Kim and Jeff and turn them into a good witness couple, in spite of everything that was going on. It's a bit of a burden to carry, anger. I get rid of things, but that one is just so wrong.